On the show in Wheelspin, we drive the Honda Mobilio. In Wheelspin, we ride the Suzuki V-Strom. And on the track, we bring you the action from the JK Tyre National Racing Championship Round 2. India is a populous country. We have large extended families, lots of friends, and there are many people here in India who don't own cars, at least not the big ones. So we need really something big to take people to the party. And what I have with me should really do the job, an MPV. Strangely, there are not too many manufacturers in India who have tried to sell MPVs to Indian public. But recently, Honda had done so. And this is one car which is big, which is spacious, and should be able to carry plenty of people and some luggage in relative comfort. This is the Mobilio from Honda, a 7-seater with 3 rows of seats and looks big enough too. Honda says that they tried to make it stylish, but really how stylish can you make an MPV? Well, they tried, and the result is that this looks quite pleasant, and to me, she looks extremely practical. Honda has a long history of making MPVs, with some best-known ones like the Odyssey and the Freed, and cumulatively have sold over 5.5 million units globally. Consequently, it comes as a bit of a surprise that they did take their time about launching one in India. But now that they have done so, what we can expect from them is quality and reliability, and a machine which will address most of the needs of a customer. And the Mobilio surely looks capable at first sight. Actually, the Mobilio here shares the same platform with the Brio, which is a rather clever thing to do because you invest and develop one platform and then have different body styles on it. First came the hatchback, the Brio, then came the booted version, the Maze, and now this full-blown MPV, the Mobilio. What this has helped Honda do is to price this car very, very competitively. But in the process, it shares the same mechanicals and the underpinnings with the Brio, including this golf ball-shaped rear lever. The Mobilio is about 4.3 meters in length with a wheelbase of just over 2.6 meters, which makes it compact enough for everyday use. And for the well-made Indian roads, the ground clearance too has been raised to 189 millimeters, which is really good for an MPV. Open the door here and you find exactly what you have been promised: plenty of space. The only reason actually why you would look at buying an MPV like this is because you desire space and you don't want to spend a lot of money buying a full-blown SUV. So the solution is this. The seats here in the second row are exactly what it should be in an MPV. Spacious, plenty of legroom here, lots of headroom, plus you have this armrest here which you can pull down if you're not traveling full capacity, and these seats are also reclinable, which should add to the comfort when you're traveling long distance. And then you have the AC vents here to keep you cool. What I really like is the way you can access the third row of seat here. All you have to do is pull this handle here, the second row of seats tumble forward and move, and it's very easy now to get into the third row of seats. All very, very convenient. In terms of space, this third row of seat is actually not quite bad. It has got plenty of legroom, lots of headroom, and this has got an AC vent to keep you cool, and there is a bottle holder as well. But the problem is that the floor pan is raised, which means that your legs are at an uncomfortable position. They are raised up a bit. And I believe that in the long run, this will tend to get even more uncomfortable. It is the insides of the Mobilio which is a clincher if space and practicality is what you are looking for. Honda's man maximum and machine minimum design philosophy is clearly at work here. Plenty of space for people, luggage, and the knickknacks is what makes it an ideal vehicle for a leisurely out-of-town cruise. And what I really like is the openness of the cabin. The large glass window, which extends all the way to the last row of seats, permits plenty of natural light, making the cabin a cheerful place to spend time in and enjoy the scenery outside. Mobilio will be sold in India in both the petrol and the diesel engine options, and coincidentally both the engines have the same capacity. They are both 1.5 litre engines What I'm driving today is the ID Tech diesel. It builds out about 100 brake horsepower and 200 Newton meters of torque. And where this engine really scores is in terms of fuel efficiency. According to ARI certification, this gives over 24 kilometers to a litre. And that really is something to look forward to if what you are chasing is economy. The power delivery is very linear. You don't feel too much of a turbo lag, and right from the moment you blip the throttle, the power keeps coming. Okay, it doesn't have a very high speed or it's not very quick off the block, but what it does is that it delivers the power in a very straightforward, linear way. What you probably will not like about this engine possibly is that when you start it initially, it does sound a little rough and loud. In fact, the noise level is slightly higher on this diesel as compared to other diesels available in the market. And that's very unlike a Honda. Honda easily makes some of the best petrol engines, but this is not the case in terms of diesel. The diesel is very fuel efficient, sure, but it's not as refined as Honda petrols generally are. But then the main reason why you would buy a diesel is not for refinement or not for power, it's for fuel economy, and that you are getting plenty in this car without compromising too much on the power. In fact, this is quite a maneuverable car, easy to drive and easy to live with in everyday traffic. The ride and handling is quite sorted out and the car feels quite planted even at highway speeds. In a car like this, obviously you are not going to go cornering flat out, so the suspension is more tuned for ride comfort rather than for fast cornering. And that's just as well, because end of the day this car is meant more for a family ride rather than for the racetrack. If you take a close look at the Mobilio, you would instantly know that this car has been built to a cost. Shut the door, it shuts well, but missing is the characteristic third of a Honda. It sounds a lot more tinier. Look inside and you see the plastics, the switchgear, the stereo, and you immediately realize that all this could have been much better. And you would only accept it if you lower your expectations of what a Honda is. In fact, what Honda had been giving us for so long. But now today, a shelf life of a car is determined by the sticker price. So obviously Honda will have to knock out some elements, and they have done that. But then there are things I would have loved to see, especially in a top trim like this. Things like electrically foldable ORVMs. In this case, I have to stick my hand out and fold the mirror. Not really nice. Secondly, there are no parking sensors or reversing camera. These kind of things really come in handy when you're parking a car this size. Then there is no dead pedal, which is a big relief when you're driving long distance. The dual-tone black and beige interiors is what you will get as standard, and it looks good too. The instrumentation cluster is simple but sufficient for the info you might need. And the steering wheel is adjustable but only for height. But it does come with a multifunction button for the stereo. The Mobilio is built for utility rather than outright style, and it shows in the plenty of cup holders and cubby holes and large enough door pockets, which do come in very handy on a long trip. All very utilitarian. Overall, I must say that this Mobilio will add tremendously to the MPV market here in India. The diesel engine here is very frugal and extremely drivable. And if you are looking for a car which offers plenty of space, then this does exactly that. And what impresses me most is the fact that the diesel trim also comes with anti-lock brakes and EBD. So that takes care of the safety aspect, at least partially. And all this is priced rather well. So if you have been itching to have a car in which you can pack in your entire family and friends and go for that long drive, then the Mobilio should do the job very well. It combines space and economy very well. Prices for the Mobilio starts from Rs 6.49 for the base petrol model and goes up to Rs 8.77 lakhs for the top end of the petrol, while as the diesel starts from Rs 7.89 and goes all the way up to 9.76 for the top trim. It also comes with a 2-year or 40,000 kilometer warranty as standard. days, life has become rather complicated, so much so that even if you want to buy a motorcycle, you will have to first decide what kind of a motorcycle you want, because there are so many of them available. And I also feel that you must figure out for yourself, what do you want that machine to do for you? For example, if you want to get to the 100-kilometer mark in the fastest possible way, then you are looking at buying a super bike. Or if you want to go cross-country riding, then you're looking at a cruiser. But what I have with me today is a bike which will do all this quite well. It will easily take you through the smooth as well as the rough. This is the latest from Suzuki motorcycles in India, the chunky V-Strom, a motorcycle that will get you attention no matter where you go with her. In fact, what can she do, you will ask me next, and I'll tell you she will do exactly what you want her to. It's a multi-purpose machine which can take you to work on an everyday basis or even off-roading. And if you want to go long-distance cruising, this is a bike which will easily do this for you.
Suzuki Motorcycles, with a strong presence in the Indian high-end motorcycle market, recently launched the V-Strom to substantially add to their top-of-the-line offerings here. Positioned as a go-anywhere bike, the V-Strom is sure to interest someone who loves motorcycling.
The high stands and plenty of ground clearance here means two things. A, you don't have to be afraid of those monstrous speed breakers anymore. And B, you can easily take her off the road. The 1000 written here means that there is a 1000cc engine here, which in turn means that if you find an open stretch of road, you can disappear pretty fast. The V-Strom here is powered by a 1037cc engine, which is a V-twin inclined at 90 degrees. And the good part about this engine is that it's extremely tractable in city traffic. This is mated to a 6-speed gearbox, which is easy to shift, and the bike comes with traction control and ABS.
The V-Strom churns out a little over 99 brake horsepower and 103 Newton meters of torque from this motor, and this is around 5 brake horsepower more than what the outgoing model was producing. This new one is more powerful and also comes with the addition of traction control. This comes with ABS as well, and the twin discs do a wonderful job of stopping the bike very effectively. The V-Strom measures in at almost 2.3 meters, which is as good as the wheelbase of many a compact car, and weighs in at 228 kgs, which doesn't make it a lightweight either. But the good part is that the ground clearance is 165 millimeters, which gives it enough room to maneuver through different terrain. But the downside is that the saddle height is 850 meters, and this is a bit too high, especially if you're lacking inches. But the company says that they offer a different seat to lower the ride height for shorter riders.
This is a naked bike in terms of styling, and I quite like naked bikes, but the problem with them is that in terms of fairings, either they are non-existent or, as in this case, it's too small. And the consequence of this is that if you're riding on the highway at highway speeds, there is a lot of wind buffeting that you face, and you kind of get tossed around and the wind noise is too much. And in this case, this is exactly what happens because this fairing is extremely small. And another thing which I don't like is the quality of this fairing. It doesn't look like OEM stuff. In fact, it looks like bad quality aftermarket.
And to change the riding dynamics, you have the suspension adjustment, and you can choose between the harder or the softer option. The good part is that this bike also comes with traction control as well as ABS, and the traction control comes with 2 modes. In the first mode, for more adventurous riding, you can induce a bit of wheel spin. But if you choose option 2, then the bike takes off smoothly without any sliding at all. Also, if you choose, you can switch off the traction control completely. But the 19-inch wheel she rides on up front ensures that changing directions really fast at highway speeds is not something that she willingly loves to do. So at high speed, she is not as chuckable as you'd like her to be.
moment you sling your leg over the seat, you realize that in spite of its size, this is a very comfortable bike to ride. The seats are well padded, the tank is sculpted in such a way that you can tuck in your knees, the handlebars are large and easy to grip, and the riding position is really upright, so you have a nice commanding view of the surroundings. And this is one bike which is even easy to ride in city traffic. In fact, when you start riding it, you realize that you don't really have to make a pit stop till about the next 1,000 kilometers. It's that comfortable.
The instrumentation is large and easy to read and is a combination of analog and digital. And to meet the necessities of modern day life, it also comes with a 12-volt socket for charging your mobile, something you might need if you're traveling long distance.
So the big question is, why would anybody like to own a bike like this? On the upside, this is a bike which can pretty much do anything that any other bike can do. On the downside, she can't do any of these things extremely well. For example, she is not the fastest of the block, she isn't the best looking one, and she certainly isn't value for money. So my guess is that you'll only own this bike if you're looking for something which is big and has loads of road presence, and somewhere in the back of your mind you have that long road trip to Ladakh. And if that's the case, then this is the bike for you.
The V-Strom is a completely built-up unit and sold as an import here in India. Consequently, it is priced on the higher side at Rs 16.56 lakhs on road in Delhi. And at this price, the V-Strom is certainly not going to be the most affordable bike. The action from the Chekatay National Racing Championship continued as the last races of the round 2 started. In the final race of the LGV class at the 2.2 kilometer Curry Speedway in Coimbatore, the action was fast and close as drivers did their best to find their way past each other. The tight corners and the chicanes were the places to watch out for, as this is where most of the overtaking action took place. Vishnu Prasad, the leading driver in car number 66, who had won the earlier races, started on the pole. But he was closely followed by Diljit in car number 7, who patiently waited for his chance to make the move on Vishnu. The track was wet and slippery, and it was not easy for the drivers to keep these tail-happy cars in a straight line. But it was Diljit's constant pressure which finally paid off when in lap number 10 he was able to make his way past Vishnu and take the lead. He produced his best lap time of 1 minute 15.52 seconds to stretch the lead further. But this time Vishnu was having a tough time to keep his position, as he was further pushed by Diljit's teammate Sarosh Chataria to 3rd place as the track started drying up. The 15-lap race ended in this order, with Diljit taking the checkered as a winner of race 3 and with Sarosh Chataria in 2nd place, followed by the seasoned Vishnu Kumar in 3rd place.
Now we moved on to the saloon class, the Polo R Cup. The cars are lined up behind me and they are just itching to go. This is a very keenly competitive class because all the cars are evenly matched, and what really matters is, in the end, the driver's skill. So we hope to see plenty of action now from this class of cars.
In the saloon car category, the Polo R Cup race continued to see action as in the earlier race. The track, which had been wet all morning, was finally drying up and the drivers were out there bent on making the most of it. The Polo R Cup is an evenly matched battle, with all the drivers getting an identical car, and the only difference is their driving skill, which decides the outcome. Consequently, over the many races, honours had been shared between the drivers. But in race 2 of round 1, it was clear that Bonnie Thomas in car number 21, who started from the grid in second position, was in no mood to relent. Right from corner 1, when he went into the lead, he set the pace with an exhibition of skillful driving, with the right dose of aggression and caution. The result was that he led the race virtually from the start to finish and eventually won. Although Karvinder Pal Singh and Yatin Maggu, who finished second and third respectively, tried their best to play catch-up. But it was a day where Bonnie Thomas could do no wrong as he took the second win of the season. The JK Tyre National Racing Championship has been going on for 17 long years, and it is the longest championship in motorsports in India. And what it has really done for motorsports is to breed talent. I have two young men with me who have done India really proud. They're racing in the international circuit. So I'm going to ask them what exactly have they gained from the JK Tyre Championship.
My first ever race in a single-seater car was on this track, and it was in 2005. So I've grown. I think I was in the championship till 2007, so that's 3 years, 5, 6 and 7. And over the 3 years it helped me grow a lot before I could make my step to international racing. And I see that a lot now. In fact, the growth that these youngsters have is much faster because the level of competition is definitely pretty high. So it is a good stepping stone before someone heads up for growth.
We've come a long way. I think it's a proven fact that this championship has produced some quality drivers. If you look at the history, and even today in all the classes that you could see fantastic racing. I experienced it firsthand. Alja and myself in the car, and I think that the level definitely from when we were racing, at least when I started, is a lot higher, and they just grow at a much faster rate because there's so many more opportunities been given.
After the intensely competitive Polo R Cup race, we come to the conclusive race of the round 2 of the JK Tyre National Racing Championship, and to end it in style, we have the BMW Formula cars lined up, and this promises to be an action-packed race.
The BMW Formula race, the fastest of the day, as to be expected, was fast and furious. And as in the earlier race, the surprise package of two of India's fastest drivers, Arman Ibrahim and Aditya Patel, were very much part of this race as well. The two were guest drivers, and they were starting from the back of the grid, and the challenge for them was to make their way past some of India's best young drivers. They were not part of the championship, and their inclusion was only to motivate and demonstrate the level of skill required internationally for a driver to come up from the ranks. It was Chitesh Mandodi in car number 9 who sat on the pole and started leading the race right from the word go. But it was the duo of Arman and Aditya who started making their way up, and by the end of the first few laps had made their way past most of the field. But lower down the order, the action was close and positions changed often, but it was flawless driving by Chitesh Mandodi which ensured that he led the race and eventually took the checker. He was followed by Akhil Ravindra in car number 4 and Krishnaraj Mahadik in car number 7.
Strong winds, intermittent rain, wet track surface. The weather was hardly perfect for a hard day's racing, but that did not deter any driver from going flat out, and the result was an action-packed round 2 of the JK Tyre National Championship. And with the last race of the Formula BMW, we conclude this round, but we promise to be back with more when the round 3 happens.